What's up, everybody? It's your favorite white boy, Archie Rhodes.
What's going on, everybody? It's Morenito Tyler.
We are the Different Perspectives podcast. We are just getting started with this. We wanted to kind of give everybody a little introduction of who we are, why we're doing this, where we hope to go with it, and just have some fun with y'all.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely gonna be some subjective views, and we're definitely unapologetic, but it's just kind of get the conversation started about things that a lot of people aren't really too accustomed to talking about. But we are definitely here to share perspectives. We definitely would like to get some feedback from you guys. But we're just here starting off, and we're gonna see how this road goes.
And for me, it's all about just kind of like Tyler said, just about being real. Kind of giving you how I view things. They don't always align with I think the majority. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But at the end of the day, it's just I think for myself, and I'm looking to kind of just put that out there to kind of uh, see if I'm far off, or see if people can um, maybe get a different insight onto some of the things that are going on in the world. Um, I'm a graffiti artist. I've been doing graffiti for over 20 years. I like to talk. I like to meet people. I'm very social. Um, and I kind of just like I said, I just like to talk about things that are talked about in small circles. And I kind of just wanted to put it out there onto a larger scale and just get different people's views to kind of teach other people or give people insight as to things that they may
Deal with
not.
every day.
Say that again.
Deal with every day. You
Yeah,
like to stir the pot. You like to stir the pot. You know what I mean? Um, I don't really do much. I'm a father of two girls. I work and come home. That's pretty much it. And occasionally I hang out with Jay and we have these discussions. And I think we've had a lot of discussions with a lot of different people, and that's kind of where the podcast came from. Also, I have a lot of different views, especially with what's going on in America today and around the world. I am not part of the majority. So I made a live. I was on Facebook Live with one of my friends, and that's kind of what sparked everything. Then I went on live, and me and Jay had we had conversations, and we had people on, and that's where the idea came from. Is to have the conversations that a lot of people aren't having. There's nothing wrong with getting other people's views and perspectives, because we all live different lives. So when it comes to things like that, it's definitely good to have. There's a lot of people out here talking politically correct and things like that, and we're not here to do that. We don't want to bullshit. We want to have the conversation, the real stuff. But we do have some things lined up, and we're very excited for what we have going on, and hopefully you guys enjoy that too.
and for me, as much as I like to stir the pot, it's not just to get the reaction out of people. It's kind of to like get people thinking. I think a lot of people are just caught in their own way and only see things from their perspective. So my goal with this is to kind of give you my perspective, give you Tyler's perspective, and give you the perspective of a guest. Also, our producer Cliff will be adding his input as well. So it's just kind of a different way. We're all different. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different personalities. So it's just for me, I like to see and learn from other people's views and other people's experiences, and I'm hoping that's what we can bring to y'all.
Definitely, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm excited. Um, just to kind of jump into a conversation. Recently, we have a friend that is kind of trying to feel like he's peeling back on Jay's skin. You know what I mean? Because I think he's starting to think that Jay might be like a little bit of a closet racist. but just to put it out there, he's not. You know what I mean? I lived with the guy. He's been there for me for a long time. Um, he's anybody that knows him knows where his mind is and stuff, and I'll let him talk about that. But it has been interesting these last couple of weeks with Jay's interest in getting people's perspectives, because it's kind of gotten him into a different little situation. Jay, if you wanna
Yeah.
elaborate on that.
Yeah, so obviously we live in a crazy time right now. The police shooting of unarmed black men is a pandemic. Has been a pandemic for a real long time, but I think with the access of social media and just media in general, um, it's definitely highlighted way more than I think it has been in the past. And like I said, I'm very big on the different perspectives, not just on this podcast, but in person too. That's how me and Tyler came about this, because we were always just having these conversations like on our own. So we figured, hey, you know what I mean? We can learn some things from getting other people's perspectives, and maybe we can teach some people some things as well. Um, so yeah, I there was that recent shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, I believe it
Yes.
is.
Yep.
Um, which at first looked very terrible. It looked like the police shot another unarmed black man. Um, and then as more information came out, there was a knife involved and things of that nature. I voiced my perspective on it, and I said, you know, and I wasn't even trying to justify the shooting. I actually made the comment that when it came out there was a knife found in the car. I said this is bad, because I knew that automatically was probably going to justify the shooting, and people were going to be upset about it, rightfully so. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then as Tyler said, um, I got a lot of backlash for that. I think probably because during these conversations, I do try to look at it from every point of view involved, including the officer, trying
Mm-hmm.
to think of what the officer is involved in,
Yep.
what the officer might be thinking, like why they might have got to the point they got where they felt like they had to shoot the person. And I think a lot of people are misperceiving that as um, like I'm supporting the police, and it's not that I'm supporting the police. Like I support good police work, but I don't support. I'm fully against abuse of power and police brutality.
Right.
However, you can't get a solution to a problem without looking at it from every angle, because if you look at it from one angle, you're only gonna come up with certain solutions. You're gonna miss some things. So I try to look at the whole thing from every side, and I try to put myself in their shoes. And people ain't liking that lately.
Yeah, I think because like I said, it's more of now. Now it's more of, instead of, oh, let's look at all sides. Now, for at least for the black community, it's more so now. It's fuck all that shit. Like, somebody else just got shot again. You know what I mean? And somebody had said something. I can't remember who it was, but they was like, at least he didn't die, or a good thing he didn't die, something like that. Like, that's a win for the black community, and it just shows like where we are when it comes to like this situation with the police and things like that. What the relationship is between police and the black community. Um, but with that, it was when I looking at it, because I know you guys and I know I'd seen it. Um, but I had said something to you about posting stuff and trying to get perspectives from people that don't work in that, they don't have any clue or any idea how that line of work goes. I mean, it's tough, you know what I mean, dealing with what it is that we've done in our past and what it is that we do. Like, we can kind of get that perspective that officers in, but it's still not the same. Um, and with this, it's more so to the point where it's like we don't care about that perspective anymore. It's more about the kid, the guy got shot, and that shit was wrong. We don't want to hear anything else. I think that's what it was. Kind of just predicated on, because a lot of your posts are always, like you said, like you want to get everybody's perspective, which is fine. But I just think that people were just like, all right, it's enough of that. It's enough of that. Now it's starting to look like you're trying to justify things, or you're trying to do this and you're trying to do that. Like me personally, I know that that's not what you're trying to do, but you know, certain people just don't see it that way. You know what I mean? We're not all the same. We all don't rock with you the same. So
But so did you see for that incident? Did you see the video or the still shot of where it appears the knife is in his hand when he's walking away from the police officers?
no, no, I didn't
So
see
there was
that.
so after I had made my post and after the article came out that there was a knife found in the car after he was shot, a still shot came out of the video from when he's walking away from the officers back in front of the cop car, and it like zooms in and you can see a knife in his hand while he's walking away from the cops.
Huh.
So does that change how you feel about that situation?
Nah, I can't say that it does. I mean, I've only seen it like 2 or 3 times, so I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've analyzed it a billion times. But like I said, kind of just going and thinking about me personally, what I do now, what I've done in the past. I just can't fathom how three people can't deal with one person.
But
That's just my thing. I'm not even talking about anything else as far as like yeah, the knife in the hand is kind of I just really find it hard to believe that like other things couldn't have been done. You know what I mean? Like in that instance, and like I said, just watching it from where my perspective is, watching it, I didn't really see that there was any type of they weren't in danger or anything like that. He wasn't attacking them or anything like that. But what's it called? It's tough because people are gonna feel like it's justified because he had the knife. But
so here we go. I'm gonna go play devil's advocate again.
oh shit,
I'm gonna try to run the series of
this is
the
the shit
scenario.
that gets you in trouble.
Whatever, fuck it, it gets me in trouble. But this is important because it's you have to look at these things. You can't just say a cop shot a black person and it's wrong. Like as I get it, it's a fucking pandemic. They do abuse their power. They for whatever reason are scared of black men.
Right,
But at the end of the day, when you watch the video, it appears you can tell like there was a struggle on the other side of the car
right,
that
right,
happened,
right.
and the guy's
Yep,
getting up from the struggle.
yep, yep,
Guy is walking, he walks away, and at first you can't see the knife. But
yeah,
once, like I said, they zoom in, he has the knife in his hand when he's walking away from the officers. And supposedly they had deployed tasers on him and they didn't work.
right.
So then he gets to his car with a knife in his hand with his kids in the car. Like, you can't let that guy go. You can't just let him drive away.
No, you
Something
can't.
has to
But
be done. And the taser's already been deployed and he has a knife, so you shouldn't be that close to him because you're not trying to get stabbed.
no, of
So it's
course
like,
not.
what else should they do in that instance?
I mean, I mean, it's like I said, it's tough. I can't. I don't know, man. Because how I'm looking at it is, you know, they're so they struggled him, they tased him, so on and so forth. He had the knife. Um, I just I don't know what happened on the other side of the car. You know, I find it. I mean, you could have used like an X block or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't want to make light of the situation. It's serious, and but I don't know. I don't know, and that's why looking at it, like I said, I didn't analyze it like that. I didn't watch the video where it's zoomed in. I've watched the video, but not the one where it's zoomed in where he had the knife in his hand. And like I said, like I just find it really hard to believe, or it's hard for me to see how three officers, three trained officers couldn't subdue one man. He wasn't a large man either. Um, I don't, people say, being under the influence gives you crazy strength and stuff like that. Like, I don't even know if that was the case.
Could lack
Um,
of training on the part of the officer be part of it?
oh, yeah, I don't.
Here's another thing to factor in, and I'm not trying to make an excuse or anything like that, but I don't know what type of a city Kenosha, Wisconsin is.
That's
I've
true
never
too.
heard of
You're
it,
right.
so
That's true too.
so
That's
I
true.
factor that in as being like it's not like a major city, so you don't
Right.
know how often they encounter shit like
Right.
this.
That's true. I
Yeah.
was thinking that too. Once
Um,
you said what type of city it was, I thought about that too. Because there's towns and cities and stuff around here where it's like, you know what I mean? They might have 2 or 3 cops, on duty. You know what I mean? Because they just don't deal with things like that.
yeah, exactly.
So that is true. That is true too.
But then, like I said, it's just, my favorite question to ask people is, what would you do if you were that cop? You know what I mean? And a
Right.
lot of people, the part that gets me frustrated is, like I said, I'm not trying to justify anything. It's like, but everybody's quick to jump to judgment. Everybody has an opinion right away. Oh my God, he's fucking wrong. Fucking arrest him. Da da da. But you can't tell me what you would do if you were in his situation. So how can you sit there and judge him on what he's doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of these people that make these comments, they've never feared for their safety in their life. You know what I mean? In any sort of way. I've
Right.
never had a gun pulled on me. I've had knives pulled on me, and I've been in countless fucking altercations. You know what I mean? But I've never had a gun pulled on me, or you know what I mean? Or I've never been in fear of having a gun pulled on me.
Yeah.
So I can but one thing as I do is, even though I haven't experienced it to that point, I'll still tell you what I should have did. And if you can't tell me what you would have done what you would have done if you were that officer, then why you even you shouldn't even be commenting.
Right. But hindsight's 2020. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of hard. Like you look at the situation and then you ask it, but it's completely different when you're in it because your adrenaline's going. You know what I mean? Like everything is just all over the place.
100%, and that's why you know what I mean? That's why I'm not quick to be like, oh fuck, there's a racist cop. You know what I mean? Like you don't know.
Right.
You don't know what's led up. You don't know the underlying factors that led to that decision to try to kill that person. And that's another thing. When police shoot somebody, they are trying to kill them. That is what they are trying to do.
Right.
But guns should be a last resort.
Well, anybody that not to cut you off, but anybody that took any type of basic firearms training and stuff like that, they tell you that. You know what I mean? They tell you that if you're gonna use it, then you use that shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't fucking. If I'm gonna, and this is just me personally. If I'm gonna use a gun, I'm not shooting you in the leg. I'm gonna kill you. Like you're not coming in my house. You're not threatening. There's no way that I'm just gonna let shit like that ride. You know what I mean? But
good point, because they do, as just to piggyback off of what you were saying, they definitely do. Because I have a license to carry, and that is something that they train you.
They train you to do that. Yeah.
Tell you that you're not shooting to injure, but you're shooting to put the person down. Hence the word, the last resort.
Right.
I think what's coming to play right now is we're seeing a lot of these things becoming a last resort, which why I revert back to, and I'll throw it to Archie there. Do you think that there is a lack of training? Because based on my guy that I follow, John Oliver, last weekend with John Oliver, if you guys don't watch that, it's on HBO. Super dope. America is one of the only countries that really doesn't provide true training. Like if you go other countries to train to be a police officer, it takes 2 years. And that's just, we're not talking about just police academy, but after the academy. So maybe that's something to be said about that. What do you think?
Oh, training should definitely be better, and not even just just the whole method of training needs to be better. Like I feel like they're trained for combat. You know what I mean? They're trained for altercations. They're not trained to deal with people, and I think that's where it really comes in. Like they're really trained to. Then they need to learn how to de-escalate, how to talk to people, how to, you know what I mean? Because not every interaction I've had with a cop, but there's been a lot of interactions I've had with police officers where they're just fucking assholes right off the rip. Like, oh fuck you, like, you know what I mean?
You want not to. It's crazy, but some academies actually they train you to be. They're not going to call it to be an asshole. They're going to say to be assertive and stern and also known as being an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, but it's funny because how you said that, like they're actually they're trained to be like that. And I know that only because, you know, I know a few officers, you know, here, you know, other states and things like that, where like they couldn't get past like OJTs, which is, you know, on the job trainings, because they weren't stern enough. And it's like, do you have to be a dickhead to give somebody a speeding ticket? You know what I mean? Do you have to be that way just to do your job? And you know, like in Massachusetts, they used to be like height requirements, and things like that to be a state trooper, because there's an intimidation factor that they want when it comes to you being a police officer. So like, there's a lot of like inner workings and things like that some people might actually know. Like, you might get people that know how to deal with people, but the training actually takes that shit out of you. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't disagree. Like, they have to be assertive and they have to be ready, but at the end of the day, you have to approach every situation individually. You know what I mean? Like, no situation is the same as the last one. No individual is the same as the last one. You know what I mean? There's so many different variables that come in. You have to approach it differently. But so I get like being on guard. Like I hate when I see like the traffic stops and they're like, oh my God, the cop's walking up to the car with his gun. Fuck yes, he is, because there might be a gun in that car that's gonna shoot him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you don't pull that shit out and point it at his face, like, who gives a shit? And I don't even, in some situations, like, I don't even care about them being assholes. You know what I mean? But there's definitely times when they don't, and there's definitely times where like shit could just be de-escalated, and I just don't think they have the training to do that. And that's shit that I've learned myself from doing the job that we do. You know what I mean? Like, I think when I started, I didn't have any of that type of training. It was straight, you know what I mean? Get physical real quick, like as soon as possible. But you know, as I get older and I've learned more, you know what I mean? And if you look at what we do now, like what we do now compared to what we used to do, you would think they'd be opposites as far as like being physical. You know what I mean? Like you would think that we would be physical all the time now, and at the other place we wouldn't be as physical. But it's the complete opposite. Like I haven't had to be physical in, you know what I mean, months.
Right.
So,
I mean, like I said, I think you know, just knowing what I know, I do believe that there are people that actually go into academies and things like that to you know, become officers and things that can deal with people. But like I said, I think with the training, it takes a lot of that away, because some people can like you don't always have to be assertive. Like, you could be assertive to a certain point, but you know, like I deal with people, and I don't have to necessarily be assertive. You know what I mean? I could use certain words and things like that, but I know, like, me going through, you know, what other people have gone through when it comes to police academies, a lot of that would probably be taken away from me. Even like, you know, like kind of like what we do now, my patience compared to what it is that we used to do, where we used to work, my patience is not there like it used to be. Like, I used to be extremely patient. I used to be able to just wait and you know, kind of just deal with different behaviors with people. Now it's like, you know, I'll deal with that shit for like fucking 10 seconds and I'm all set. Like, I don't want to deal with that shit no more. And I think, like, especially like when it comes to police officers, that's another thing that they have to deal with. Like, how long do you want to let a situation go on for? But
that's a great point that you brought up, which is kind of a segue to my question to you both, is that because you are in a position of quote unquote power where you have control of said person, they have to listen to you. And one of my quotes that I like to use a lot is, check your ego at the door, check your ego at home. When you're pulling someone over, they know that something probably bad is going to happen. There are various extremes, from getting a ticket to now death, which sucks, right? I believe, and let me know what you guys think, being that you have some sort of power. Don't you think it's also your responsibility as a person with power to understand where that individual is coming from, that either A, they have not had the training to learn how to quote unquote get pulled over, right? So they might, so for you to understand that various emotions is going to pop up and that everyone's different. There could be a cultural difference where, for example, I'll use my father and I were driving in Milton. It was a 30 miles per hour. He got pulled over for going 33 miles per hour. Yes. Did he quote, did he break the law because of the speed limit? Yeah, by 3 miles.
So that right there, I would question, because I have some knowledge of police work. You know what I mean? I've gone to school for, I've done some schooling, and just the jobs that I do. Police typically don't pull you over for anything under 10 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because the first 10 miles an hour is a set price. It's like, I don't know.
That's the search. It's $100.
$100. So the first 10 miles is $100. And then where the money gets higher is every mile an hour after that. So I've literally had conversations with numerous police officers where they said, oh, if he's not going over 10 miles an hour, I won't even stop him. So to me, you're a black man in Milton and you got pulled over for 3 miles an hour, that's some questionable shit.
Definitely. There's a lot of
I'll also say this too. This took place in the 90s. Obviously, the climate in the 90s till now is completely different. I can't say that the rules might have changed. Maybe they could, maybe they didn't. But maybe that officer was kind of just saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this. But what I wanted to lead to was, so my father's reaction was, hey, listen, why are you pulling me over? It is 3 miles per hour. I'm going to work. And then the question started. And then my father, being, he's Haitian, and us Haitians men tend to be very proud. And if we're not in trouble, we feel like we can kind of speak our mind. And he was like, what are you talking about? I haven't done anything wrong. Can I just go on my way? And he was like, where are you going? He's like, well, I'm going to work. He's like, what are you doing? I'm going to go see my patients. And that in itself sparked another, and I don't want to say racist convo, but them speculate, say, you're a doctor, was the quote of the police officer.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, that ignited something else. So again, and I'll give this to you, Tyler, what do you think, being that you're an individual that was trained, going through this, starting to see, okay, this is kind of going to the left a little bit. I know, what would you have done differently than what this particular police officer did to my father and I?
I think I like to reset. That's just me personally. So there's a big thing. I don't like to. There's certain things that we can do at our job, such as like we can know what people have done. I don't like to do that, because then there's like a judgment kind of made there. So then you tend to treat people differently. I don't really do that. Pulling somebody over for 3 miles an hour, I would just stick to it. Me personally, I would just say, you know what I mean? The law is the law. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. One of my biggest pet peeves are people running through yield signs. And I've always said, if I was a cop, I'm pulling them over. Stop running. I hate when people run through yield signs. But I would have just answered the question. You know what I mean? If I'm pulling you over, I'm going to tell you I'm pulling you over because you were speeding. I was only doing 3 miles an hour.
Can you be more specific on the yield sign? Because I have questions about that.
So yielding is, like say you're coming off the highway. There's always going to be a yield sign.
Correct.
Or to merge into. You don't have to stop, but if there is a car coming, that car that's coming when you're coming off the highway always has the right of way. So you're supposed to slow down. You know what I mean, and yield to the car that leaves until the car passes you, or until you know what I mean. You can, you have a safe travel lane. But people just don't believe that sign means anything. And there were countless times where I'm on an overpass and people are coming off the highway and they're just blowing through yield signs. And it's like, that shit causes accidents, and a yield sign's really not a big offense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what it is. It might be like a $50 surcharge or something like that. Nothing even crazy. But the point of it is, it's there for a reason. And that's kind of like goes into like the speed limit. Like, it's there for a reason. I understand that it's only 3 miles an hour, and I might be being petty. But per the law, you're speeding. Would it probably get in or turn into a bigger situation because of the 3 miles an hour? Yes, because the driver is gonna feel like you're being petty. I'm not gonna feel like I'm being petty because I'm looking at it as I'm doing my job. You can look at it however you want. So there's gonna be that back and forth interaction. But me personally, I would just cut it. It would just be done. I'll let you say what it is that you feel and let you get that off. But you're still gonna get the ticket. I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? However that procedure goes. You know what I mean? And maybe I won't even give you the ticket. Maybe if you just handle it right, I'll sit back, look at what's going on, see what your record is and stuff like that, your history, and come back and be like, you know what, just slow it down. You know what I mean?
So you're telling me that it's depending on how much respect they give to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, because at the end of the
police
day,
officer know what their role is, and respect really shouldn't have to quote unquote, unless they're spitting on you. That's something different,
right.
Which is a crime. We all know that.
Yeah.
But why do I have to kind of, for lack of a better term, kiss your ass to get out of a ticket? It's really, you've already decided. So I think that's where the training needs to happen, because I think there is some form of training that every form of person that needs to, keep the law going, right?
Yeah.
You go,
right.
But, and I'm going to throw this at Archie. He yield enough or yield at all, and you're a speeder, so you know what I'm talking about. You're taking that lane, and I just want the camera on him. Yep. Taking that turn, you look to your left, there are no cars, and you keep going, but yet you pass Tyler. And because he has the radar gun on you, he knows if you're speeding or not, or if you're not even yielding. So it wasn't up to par to how you were driving. So now he's going to pull you over. And you're like, come on, man, what the fuck? Are you serious? Don't you think now, if he had the appropriate training of saying, yeah, he quote unquote broke the law, but there's really no need, and you start getting a little pissed, do you think it's just a very gray area, if you guys understand what I'm saying? And that,
yeah.
So for me personally, one thing that I've worked super fucking hard on is holding myself accountable. So even if I was going, I might think it's petty. Even if I'm going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, I might think it's petty. But at the same time, I acknowledge that I'm breaking the speed limit. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I would probably be like, oh, whatever. I really don't get mad. Like you said, I do speed a lot. I know what I'm doing.
I didn't say all that.
Yeah, you do.
You know what, Scuba Steve, let's edit that.
I do speed a lot. But you know what I mean? So, and I know the risk that I take that comes with it. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm gonna get pulled over, I get pulled over, and I just kind of take it. And I don't know why more people can't do that. I don't, and there's a sense of entitlement.
Yep.
Like, oh, you know what I mean? They might have got through on going faster another time, so now they think that it's okay to go that fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. Like, you know what I mean? The speed limits should probably be updated to modern cars, because there are some roads where you're driving and it feels like you're crawling.
Right.
You know what I mean? But until that happens, the speed limit's the speed limit. So if you go over that 1 mile an hour, you run that risk, and if it happens, then it happens. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of just dealing with that again too. With the situation. A lot of like a lot of the tickets and things like that, or like pulling people over for traffic violations. I think a lot of them, outside of speeding, and outside of just belligerent shit, a lot of them are like judgment calls. Like a yield sign, I'd probably me personally, I'd probably just fucking rip a person. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, there's a fucking yield sign. Yield at the fucking sign. I'll be right back. I'm gonna run your shit. I'll be right back.
So that's my question. Why are you so angry?
Yeah, exactly. Why like that? And I think that's part of the problem is like, and you said it was part of the problem.
No. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is not just running through a yield sign. I'm saying like when there's traffic running through a yield sign.
But either way, you said it's part of the problem that cops are already like up here when they're coming to your car. Like you don't know. Maybe they're fucking having a kid. Maybe they got shot and they're driving themselves to the hospital.
There you go.
But me personally, I can handle that. I could be mad. I could be like, "What the fuck? You're so fucking stupid." I'll be right back. I could do that. Me personally.
But why do you need to belittle the person or disrespect?
Because you just broke the fucking law. You just broke the law. You just broke the fucking law. You know what I mean?
You're gonna get yourself in trouble with your views now.
Listen, I can get myself in trouble, but I know that I'm not gonna sit there and escalate to a whole nother level over a yield sign. That's the difference. Like, I have a lot of self-control. There's people that don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're doing fucking 99 miles an hour, I'm gonna be like, what in the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
So you would be more calm at somebody doing 99 than you would at somebody not using.
No, but that's the thing. You see how like I'm like, what the fuck? And me walking up to somebody and be like, what are you doing? That's the same level for me. You know what I mean? But everybody's different.
But here's the thing. You're dealing with another individual. You can't go by your level. People aren't going to...
No. I'm saying my reaction to things are the same. But I'm going to go and I'm going to deal with them and I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk to them.
But you've already escalated the situation by approaching them on that energy. You know what I mean? It's all about the energy, man.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I have to sit here and do something and deal with you because you did something wrong already. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like, it depends. Like, I'm not going to sit there and bug the fuck out over a stop sign. Personally, I just hate fucking yield signs. Like, why the fuck?
Okay? It's the yield sign.
It's just the yield thing. It's just the yield thing. Everything else is fine.
But
personally, I hate when people blow through fucking yield signs.
Yo, you're ass backwards, bro. Because you're ass backwards because wouldn't you say a stop sign is far more fucking important than a fucking yield sign?
Me personally, I fucking hate when people blow through yield signs. I think it's more so because, like, I mean, like, you blow through a fucking blowing through stop signs is I mean, rolling stops are blowing through stop signs. You know what I'm saying? But, like, if I'm driving, if I'm like this, and you're coming, and I'm still driving straight, and you're just gonna fucking blow through a yield sign, that shit's gonna piss me the fuck off. Like, why are you just blowing through?
What I'm getting is you just have some trauma that you have to deal with.
No, I don't have. I've never had I've never had like an accident or anything. It's just like, what the fuck? It's a fucking yield sign. Just slow the fuck down.
And what do you think the chances are that a lot of people don't actually know what a fucking yield sign means?
And that's our fault. Because we should make it harder to get a fucking license if that's the case. You know what I mean?
We should make it harder to do a lot of things.
You guys set me up with that yield sign shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the yield, you should have made it something else. I did, but that's because that's something that I can't fucking stand. Yield signs.
Well, that's
people.
This is why you like different perspectives, man.
Yeah. And there's like with the training and stuff like that, like I don't have the answer to everything. But I do think that when it comes to, like, I don't know if you could really train people on how to deal with people, I guess, like outside of being like counselors and stuff like that. So would you know what I mean? Would you make that like a course for people to, I don't know. I think
it should be.
Reverting back to the police thing, I think that like just personality, like people training needs to be like a regular annual, quarterly, you know what I mean? There should be at least something that you go, like, we go through, look at all the trainings that you and I get offered.
We get fucking trainings every month.
Exactly.
But those are like,
a lot
I'm
of
not.
a lot of the like the seminars and stuff that we volunteer for because we want to learn.
Right.
Some of that shit should be mandatory for
Well, that's what I
people
was gonna
in
say.
that type of position.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna jump into because I'm like, I know that we've been to seminars and things like that that officers have been at, and because we do the same shit. You know what I mean? Pretty not the same thing, but we work in the same field. So it's like we go to some, and some are run by certain cities, police departments, and things like that. But should that be mandatory for them? You know what I mean? Because a lot of it is just optional for us. But it's tough, man. It's tough because I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the answer for everything. I just think that things can be better. I think that people get stripped of how they deal with people going through academies. Because I know some people that are really patient, really nice people. You know what I'm saying? And went through academies and came back and was like fucking, straight dickhead. Not to me, but just like dealing with situations. It's like, damn, like you really think like that now? Like that shit's fucking wild.
There's definitely a balance, man, and you know what I mean. Just like the job we do, like not everybody should be a fucking cop. Like you know what I
No,
mean. You know what I
no.
mean.
That's another thing.
But that comes down to people knowing themselves and people and the police academies and stuff rejecting people. You know what I mean? Like, but
They don't
people can
reject a
grow.
lot of
So
people.
it's tough. You know what I mean?
They don't reject a lot of people.
What do
I
you
know.
think about this line here?
Mm-hmm.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Now, police officers don't necessarily have a crown, but they have a badge, which they kind of hold that as a crown.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And I think with that comes a lot of responsibilities. Like that saying, I wish I knew. My cousin James would tell us the superhero line. You know what I mean? I think Spider-Man comes with a lot of responsibility and power, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
And I think police officers need to really grasp that. And I do feel, and I agree with you when you were saying that there needs to be more training. Because guess what? This is America. It's a melting pot. There are different
Yes, it
cultures,
is.
personalities, different perspectives. Look at how you guys just went at it. And not really going at it, but it was dope conversation. Now imagine having a fear. There's a narrative with police officers getting pulled over, maybe knowing someone that got shot and killed, maybe having a bad interaction with someone, or maybe you're having a bad day. And now because you didn't yield at the little yield sign over there, and you didn't notice me coming off the highway going 50 miles per hour and taking that turn, and maybe the 35 wasn't enough for you. So now, guess what? We got to deal with who? Mr. Tyler. And what is it? A little pissed that we just slow down on the yield sign. I'm just saying.
No, I mean it makes sense. You know what I mean? It makes sense because then kind of like what Jay said, like maybe you have some trauma yield signs or something like that, and a lot of people are having indirect trauma with dealing with cops because of what's going on with other people in this country. So a lot of people are fearful and things like that. I understand that. A lot of people aren't like me, but I kind of go into the situation knowing that A, B, or C can happen. Anything can happen as a cop. And I've been pulled over as well, but there's certain kind of just I don't have, like I said, I don't have the answers to everything, but I do think that cops dealing with people every day or trying to deal with people every day is hard. Kind of like what you said, Cliff. Like America is a melting pot. There's a bunch of different cultures and backgrounds and things like that. So everybody has a different past when it comes to dealing with officers. But then again, like you get the few that are good, you get the few that are bad, and however it is that you deal with it is how you deal with it. But I can't speak for everybody, because my interactions might be different than Jay's. How I am a cop, Jay might be different than being a cop. But what do we do? How do we fix that? You know, who
That's
knows?
the
Who knows?
question is how to fix it. I don't know if there's no answer as of right now. Like I think just start with the more training and like I said, not more combat training, more personality, people training. You know what I mean? How to deal with somebody that's upset and how to kind of de-escalate that situation. Like we go through it. We learn de-escalation. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Granted, we don't have to worry about guns. You know what I mean? So it's tough because you have like being a police officer, you have to be on guard at every single second because
Mm-hmm.
um, we've seen the videos where everything seems to be going fine, and then all of a sudden, dude pulls out a gun or the struggle happens. Like you know what I mean? It's just I don't know. I wanted to be a cop at one time. Kind of glad I didn't go that route.
It's a different
Me too. I
profession.
don't know if I could have been your friend, buddy.
If I was a cop,
I don't know. I have cop friends. You know what I mean? I've noticed a
asshole, is that what
personality
you're saying?
change. What's that?
You said what? You think I would be an asshole?
No, but I'll use an example. So I have some friends that I know that used to work at a job that you were at. We won't, the three letters. We won't say who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And his personality changed. He became a different person. And he's a teddy bear. Like I'll say it. I've known Jeff forever since he was like 7.
Yeah.
And to see peaceful Jeff, like we were gonna get into a fight with people, and he was like, "Listen, man, peace, nonviolence." Those were his words.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing who he became when he was working for the said company, something just has to be said with that. And to me, I think if a police officer is involved with any form of like situation where there was him and another person bumped heads, like to a point, I think they need to be evaluated, go to like a counselor, talk about it, say, all right, how could you have done this differently? Because if they're continuing, they're not being said, hey, maybe next time, instead of just writing up a ticket and sending them to jail, getting them towed and changing their lives, maybe you could have provided these options, because we're not perfect. We don't have the answers, and we all learn through experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they need the experience to be told what they were done was wrong. Because you used the word accountable, Jay, earlier. They're not being held accountable
Right.
from the little things. So obviously the extremes of it seems like you can kill someone and you're not held accountable. And I think that itself is, one, it's very telling, and two, very disturbing. So I think it was 2 months ago I got pulled over, and I was with my son coming from the barbershop. And as soon as he pulled over, my hands were kind of like this on the steering wheel. He's a minority cop. I think he was Spanish. I don't know what it was, and I was like, he said license or registration. And then I said, well, my registration is in the glove compartment. Are you giving me the authority? And then his words were, cut the shit. You're fine. Okay. And I said, I'm acting this way because my son's in the car.
Right.
Sad enough. And he just kind of shook his head, gave him my paperwork. And then, excuse me, I gave him my license. We get paper registration, and I'm horrible. So I had like 3 or 4 of them. I'm like, oh my God, is this too good? I think like I'm doing some shady stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, nope, I know your registration is good because I ran it already. So I just need your license. And he's like, all right, you have 1 brake light that's out. So that's why I kind of pulled you over. I was like, thank you. I apologize. He's like, nope, I get it. And went on his way.
Mm-hmm.
So he immediately saw what I was dealing with, because I'm sure his people deal with it. And I'm not talking about just minorities, but police officers. And I hope that those conversations are had when they go to the barracks to change up, or when they're out having beers with their coworkers. And maybe that exchange would sway, or maybe say, you know what, if this happens, this is how I'm going to react, as opposed to, whoa, what are you saying? Why do you have this? Why do you have that?
Right.
One thing that kind of gives me positive, like I hope that it's gonna change. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. But like mental health is becoming a big thing now. Like people are really focusing on mental health, and it's not like, oh, if you go see a shrink or a psychiatrist, you're
No
crazy.
stigma attached to it.
Say it again.
There's no stigma attached to it when you.
Yeah, the stigma's going away. So,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, you know what I mean. People are in the future to come are going to start utilizing that more, because I think plays a major factor in it. Is people would be dealing with some shit, but not knowing how to deal with it, and would be afraid to talk to people because they would be labeled as crazy or whatever. So hopefully, I mean, it's kind of just starting now, but hopefully within the next 5 to 10 years, it's a regular thing. You know what I mean? Like me personally, like I should probably go see a psychiatrist. I've been told I should. I have head trauma. I have a lot of head trauma. It's probably affected my personality. I mean, Cliff, you've known me for like 10, between 10 and 15 years. I don't know if you can notice a difference in my personality. Sometimes I notice a little bit, but sometimes I'm like, well, is that just me growing up, or is that a result of, things that I've been through? You know what I mean? And like I say, like I'm not afraid to go talk to a psychiatrist, but I also haven't done it. You know what I mean? I haven't actually made the move to go do it, and it's something I've been talking about for a while.
No, I think it's pretty dope that you actually said that. There's definitely a change from the time we first met, day one. Obviously, much more calmer. You trying to beat people up is no longer a thought. Oh, I don't hear it coming out of your mouth as much anymore, unless you're playing hockey. Um, but nah, I think it's a combination of growing up, and that's a good thing. And I don't mean like your personality growing up, just age, man.
Yeah.
Experience is so key to me in everything.
Yep.
A lot of people are like, oh, you know everything. I'm like, no, I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and I like to listen, and I'm a blabber. So I'll listen to what you guys say, and I'll think about it as I'm washing dishes or whatever, and I'm trying to see, does that make sense or it doesn't? Then I'll throw it at someone and see their perspectives on it and apply it, because then the only thing that makes us the same, obviously, besides us being human and us being born, is there's a bunch of people that have different perspectives and experiences. And unless we can share those, there's no way that we can all live like in harmony, even though that's utopia and that doesn't exist really. But we can't live together without saying, hey, I understand this person's struggle because I have friends, or I have coworkers or people that talked about it, or I see it online, which is, I think, why platforms like this is pretty dope. But there has to be a willingness to check your ego at the door and actually believe that there are three sides to a story.
Definitely. Definitely.
But we could probably wrap it up for now for there. We will be putting out more content soon. Now we've got everything set up. We have our team in order, and we have our equipment all set up, and so as things continue to happen, the topics will continue to come up. And then if things start to calm down, which I don't see them happening, but we'll just talk about different things, and that the goal is to kind of talk about things that we all deal with in everyday life, and just need help on how to see them.
Yeah, definitely. The topics won't always be so heavy though. There's gonna be times where we talk about hockey. There's gonna be times where we talk about fucking dancing and bullshitting. Um, you know, it's not always gonna be such a heavy topic like it was today. I just wanted to put that out there, make sure you guys don't think that every time you come here you're gonna have to get like fucking tissues and all types of shit and start reminiscing on the shit that's going on in the fucking world. But yeah, we're definitely gonna have some good discussions. There's a couple that I am looking forward to. There's a couple people that we got lined up that I'm pretty sure that everybody will enjoy the conversations that we're gonna have. Some of them we might have certain topics that we might think we're gonna talk about, but sometimes we might talk about some other shit. But for the most part, we're just excited for this. I'm looking forward to where this goes. And hopefully everybody enjoys it. Hopefully y'all enjoy it.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we getting out of here. Bonito out.